Full disclosure, the voice you are listening to now is artificially generated, brought to you by satisphonic.com. See the link in the description for more details. How did you come out of poverty and broke? I was homeless, bouncing from shelter to shelter, hustling, running weed and pills for people to scrape together a session at the end of the day. One day my cousin took me with him to a place called Labor Ready. It's just a place where construction companies, etc., pick up a day laborer, and at the end of the day you go back to the office and they cut you a check for the day's work. Well, when I got to that job site, the other punks I was working with from the agency were lazy and slow and complaining all day, barely doing anything. It pissed me off. We were hired to work, so I worked my absolute guts out. We were digging mud out of the basement of an abandoned farmhouse that was being restored. The boss came during the day and saw me carrying 2 steel, 5-gallon pails filled to the top with mud up the stairs and out the back door constantly, while the other 2 were barely filling one 2-gallon drywall mud pail. He took me aside and said, "You're not going back to the agency tomorrow. You're hired." From there, I continued to work my guts out for him and eventually was promoted from laborer to a carpenter's apprentice. I learned a few trades there since they were a general contractor. From there, I moved on to other companies and continued learning new trades. Today, I'm a jack of all trades, making good pay. I do everything: windows and doors, flooring, brick and concrete repair, drywall, mud and tape, tile, siding and aluminum, you name it. I've got my own brand new van, fully kitted out with all of the best tools I could possibly need to do any job. And my work is appreciated because I am meticulous and hardworking. And that's how I went from pinching out of weed bags and sleeping at a mission to owning a house and vehicles with a good job. Edit, thank you so much for the positive response, guys. I haven't told that story in years, and debate had no idea anyone would even find it interesting. Take it from me, though, if you grind hard enough, you'll go places eventually. Hell yeah, your story is my favorite so far, and is definitely a story more young men need to hear. Women too, if they're inclined to hard physical work. The trades are where it's at. Demand is only rising. Good for you. Finished grad school, got a decent paying job, but continued to largely live as if I was broke. That broke mentality stays with you, man. Sometimes that's not a bad thing. I find myself wanting something, but then I have to justify it. And if I can't, then I don't get it. Or you spend months watching review videos and waiting for a sale trying to justify the purchase, until your partner finally tells you it's annoying discussing Robot Hoover reviews daily and it's okay to buy it, and you buy it. Live like I'm still paycheck to paycheck. Live like you're still paycheck to paycheck from your first job. Housing was a lot cheaper back then. Or you spend months watching review videos and waiting for a sale, trying to justify the purchase, until your partner finally tells you it's annoying discussing Robot Hoover reviews daily, and it's okay to buy it, and you buy it. Married my way out of it. I had no idea her family were doing well because they lived so frugally, but when I moved in with them to save money after marrying her, as they put it, I was put in charge of managing everyone's bills and credit cards. When I saw my father and mother-in-law's bank accounts, I at first thought it was a mistake, but when I raised it with my wife, she was like, no, that sounds normal. I nearly fainted. I know for bloody sure that their grandkids are going to want for nothing. This is the biggest mistake that far too many people make, just because you, the universal you, not you specifically, get that $4,000 salary raise or took a disloyalty bonus to go to another company for an additional $10,000 on your salary, does not mean that you need to move into a bigger house or that you need to buy a more expensive car. I'm certainly not saying that you can't enjoy the fruits of your labor. Sure, take your self-loved ones out to a nice dinner, or maybe buy that nice pair of shoes you've been eyeing for the last year. But if you're constantly raising your recurring costs, then you'll also always be living paycheck to paycheck. To me, the objective is not to just make the numbers bigger while retaining the same or greater financial risk. The objective is to reach a point where you no longer worry about money. Edit. Yes, obviously improve your life if you have the means to, but don't engage in frivolous lifestyle inflation where you're just spending money for the sake of spending it because you're happy. If a guy makes $12 a year door dashing and lands himself in a $25 job, he can finally pay for the transmission repairs to his Civic, but he'd be doing himself a disservice by running out and replacing the whole car with a brand new Mercedes. sacrificed comfort, and focused on getting the bare minimum of what I need and how to get more money. I ate ramen and bread, slept outside, and took a shower when I could. I got a job at Walmart, then Ross, the clothing store. Found a cheap motel to stay at with a girlfriend, and we scrimped and saved. But $33 a night on a $50 a day salary eats at you, and it was impossible to save. Like it would have been years before I could have afforded just a car to make sure I got to work on time. So I moved into my father's place and could save up for a car. They paid for my Tesla, and I used a lifetime of miles from flying between my mother and father to get a ticket to Poland, sold the car, and found myself eating potatoes in Polska till I got a job teaching English. Then the gold plan was steady. Moral of this story is that poverty is a scary fucking thing, and it's really hard to get out of it without friends and family. There's no easy way out, and the longer you're there, the deeper the holes get, especially if you start borrowing money. I still like to travel on nothing sometimes though. Hitch, hike, couchsurf, and eat nothing but bread for months. Being at the right place, at the right time, talking to the right people. You can be the most talented person in the world, but if you don't know how to play the social game and have a lot of luck, it sadly isn't going to happen. That's even on a simple level of I'd like to do X career. Someone in the group will say, I heard I was hiring, so you apply it. Watch out about your nutrition though. You just might get a huge bill due to eventual serious health issues, eating only bread. You heard those scientists advising diets composed of several vegetables among other items, and that's definitely not for you. I remember my doctor telling me some years ago to stop eating only white rice. That would have caused me to get diabetes. Eating white bread only would make you develop diabetes effects. I grew up with drug-addicted alcoholic parents. I've worked every day since I was 16 and stay far away from my family. My wife and kids are my rock and keep me working hard and pushing to be better. Pro tip, leave your small town and never look back. Take control and grab life by the horns. That's even on a simple level of, I'd like to do X career. Someone in the group will say, I heard I was hiring, so you apply it. Read, learned, exercised, went to night school, got a GED, went to university, got a loan for that, learned to live on beans and rice for 6 years, got a contract job in my industry, worked, studied, learned, took every minute of work that came my way. Gained the trust of the middle-class people around me, made them believe I wasn't some white trash loser, read, learned, exercised, saved up $10,000, started my own business. Struggled for years, failed many times, and finally got here. I am 52 and still working 6 days a week, 12 hours a day. Sad but true. No easy options for me, unfortunately. What industry do you work in? Beans and rice, importer and exporter. I went back to school at 24 to get a degree in Cs. Got an internship at a big tech company and converted it to a full-time offer at the end of the internship. Now I make insane money. I worked full-time with a lot of mandatory overtime during the entire period I was in college. It was brutal but ended up being worth it. Bro, if you find out, let me know. I thought that as long as you work as hard as you can, you'll have a good life. But boy was I wrong. When I graduated from college in 2006, the economy kind of sucked, so it took me about 3 months to find a job. During that time, I spent a lot of time dicking around on the computer. I came across the blog of a couple living on their boat and sailing around the world. Being from Man, I didn't even know you could do this, so it was the coolest thing I'd ever seen. I showed it to my wife, and she was like, let's do it. Basically, every decision we've made since then has been in pursuit of this goal. We even had to go back to college to get jobs that allow us to come and go as we please. So now, at 39, our rentals and investments will probably support us, but we still return home and work 3 months a year because we can earn almost double our annual budget in 3 months and just keep letting our investments grow. We will probably fully retire at 48.